This is the end, my only friend, the end of our elaborate plans, the end.
Hey everyone, it's Naomi Fry of The New Yorker here. This, my friend, is the end. Here we are, the sixth and final episode of Really? The Doors? I sure do hope you're a Doors fan by now, and if you're not, and you're still listening for some reason, here's one more episode to convince you. And I think it's a special one. But before we get into it, I thought I'd share a few notions about what doing this show has meant for me. I think it's clear by now that I'm a really big fan of this band. And simply getting a chance to talk about what makes their music special with people like Lucinda Williams and Billy Idol and Walter Martin and Wise Blood, I mean, that's pretty cool. But I also find the band and the swirling, shifting discourse around it to be a very rich text, as they say. Before doing this show, I hadn't really thought much about Jim Morrison's masculinity and how he represented this shifting idea of what a sensitive alpha male could be. That mix of witchiness and manliness, or as Sean Fennessy put it, a Merlin who fucks. That was a pretty good line. I hadn't fully understood the difference between the LA scene and the San Francisco scene. The guys in LA, sure, they had long hair, they didn't bathe, they believed in sex and drugs and rock and roll, but they also kind of hated hippies. And it was Billy Idol who really got me to sit with a very sad fact that Jim Morrison never got to overcome his demons. He never did get that second act that so many great, troubled artists deserve. All of which is to say, doing the show left me with a lot of questions and some new ideas. Now, it's one thing to have these questions rattling around my own head or talk them out with other critics, but on this episode, I get a chance to take these questions right to the source. Walk them over to exactly who you'd want, an actual member of the Doors. So up next, my conversation with the great John Densmore, drummer for the Doors. Recorded a few weeks ago live in Los Angeles as part of On Air Fest, and it was a special night, full of stories and community and even a little bit of rhythmic healing at the end. Wait for it.
Is everybody in?
A perfect way to wrap up the series, if you ask me.
Is everybody in?
So take a listen, and thank you for listening.
The ceremony is about to begin.
Hello, welcome to On Air Fest. Great to see you all. On Air Fest LA, please join me in welcoming our first guests, Naomi Fry and John Densmore.
Hi, Naomi.
Hi, John.
So
oh my God, I'm so excited.
I brought a drum.
He brought a drum, you guys.
That's in case I don't like any of the some of the questions, and I'll
He's
drum
just
the
gonna-
answer. You know.
You can drum the answer, or you can drown my questions with the sound of drumming.
No, actually, at the end, I'm going to do a little 2-minute poem and drum.
I'm excited for that. I was psyched when I heard that you were planning on that. I have to say, this is very exciting for me. John and I had a phone conversation, a prep call yesterday, and I said to him, John, this is a big deal for me because I have been a Doors fan for a very long time, and I can't believe my life has led me to this point. And he said, Naomi, I still go to the bathroom. I've been divorced. It's okay. So that deflated me immediately. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but John, thank you for being here.
And thank you for
And thanks
coming out.
everyone for coming. Oh my God, there's a second floor. There's a second. Hi.
Oh,
Hi everyone. Wow.
and there's a big bright light, but whatever.
There is yes, my vision is a little bit blurry, but
I'm ready to be grilled.
okay, yes. Okay. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to read out some quotes to you from the conversations that we've already had from different people that we've talked to. Why am I saying we? It's like literally me. It's like
Cool.
we. And you can kind of react, and then we can kind of bounce off and, talk a little bit about each quote and then move on to the next one. So I'm going to start. So the first episode we recorded and the first episode that's going to be airing is about Los Angeles. Los Angeles and the roots of the band. And I've never lived in Los Angeles, but Los Angeles is a city that's very kind of culturally important in general, culturally important to me. And I think listening to The Doors at an early age had a lot to do with that. And one of the things we're kind of trying to think about is, what is it about Los Angeles that The Doors emerged from it? Not just geographically, of course, but also culturally. And so the quote I'm going to read to you right now is from John Doe of the band X. John Doe says, "If you're in a place where everything is supposed to be beautiful and the weather is nice, and you're living in a shitty apartment that's overrun by bugs and vermin, there's nothing that shows you how shitty your life is if the sun is shining and it's 72 degrees." What comes to mind immediately when you hear this, if anything? Does that ring true to you?
Well, as I told you backstage, the house I grew up in is a freeway on-ramp. It's the 405 and the 10. When I was a kid, they came along and said, "Here's 30 grand and you're out." And that's it. I'm commented that I'm a native.
Mm-hmm.
And I correct them and say, First Peoples, Chumash, Tongva folks were here.
Right.
So let's get that right. But just got into town about an hour ago. LA woman. God, I love Jim for thinking of writing about the city as a woman. Oh, God. Cops in cars, topless bars, never saw a woman so alone.
What a great line that is. I think about that often.
And then he touched on Manson, Motel Money, Murder, Madness. And he had this lyric, Mr. Mojo Rising. And I knew mojo was a sexual term in blues songs. And so I suggested to the band that we slow the tempo down real slow and then slowly build it back up like an orgasm.
I see.
The difficulty was this was a 7-minute song, and I started the tempo 5 minutes ago, and I wanted to arrive at the same tempo at the end. I overshot it. What was your question?
Right. So the question was, I don't think it's unconnected to what you're saying. There is a sense, the line that you stopped just short of quoting from LA Woman, changed the mood from glad to sadness. This idea that this place that is in some ways so glittery, so sunny, this accelerating pace of things can also lead to a darkness. And I'm wondering, and I think what John Doe was saying, but it's a question that I identify with. Like, did you feel that when you were in The Doors? Was that something that was on your mind, where you were? Like, if it affected the music, if it affected how you thought of yourself as a band? And I guess, like, what does it mean that the Doors is an LA band? Like, could it have emerged anywhere else, do you think? In New York and, Chicago?
One could generalize that in the 60s, the bands out of LA were kind of peace and love.
Right.
Let's see, the Byrds, wonderful bands. Who are the other bands, John? I don't know. Airplane, thank you. Grateful Dead, good. But there was this cloud over the whole country called the undeclared war, the Vietnam War. And the whole country was polarized, kind of like today, red and blue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wearing blue, interesting. So Jim's dad was an admiral in the Navy and in the Gulf of Tonkin, commanding battleships. So we were writing about the dark underbelly, not LA per se, just the whole country. I mean, Jim, this is the end. Oh my God. Right?
Yeah.
Francis used that beautifully in Apocalypse. And
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
I also said this backstage to you. In the 60s, the seeds of civil rights, peace movement, and feminism were planted. And don't diss the 60s as failing. They're big seeds. It takes hundreds of years for full fruition. So don't diss it. Get out your watering cans. But we need to remember the people did stop the Vietnam War.
Yeah, it's true. And that should give us hope, right?
Yeah.
I hope. Okay, moving on. The music. Here we have your friend, Lucinda Williams, who guested on another episode where we were talking about, what is it about the Doors' music and Jim as a frontman and the band in relationship with him. So we were discussing, when she said what I'm about to read, whether the Doors wrote pop songs. She said, "That's the genius of what they did. Nobody would have thought of them as pop songwriters. But the definition of a pop song is if there is a widespread appeal to it. So yeah, they were pop songwriters." I mean, which makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, if the definition is that you're popular.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, I would say we wanted to say something, and we didn't mind making a good living if we could, but we were not, for example, the term rock star, that would have been, ugh. And now it's an energy drink. Whoa. Pretty good at co-opting, America.
Why was it cringy? Like, why was it something that you wouldn't have? Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed too mainstream, or it seemed too sell outy, or
yeah. We were the underground. I mean, the guy in the band in the front looked like David, Michelangelo's David. Oh, whoa. I'm not into guys, but sometimes I couldn't even look at Jim. His face is so gorgeous, I mean,
did he know you felt that way?
Oh, no, me. I'm not. Oh, where's my drum? Here's your answer. That's funny. Yeah, where were we? Pop music, it's kind of like rock stars in the vernacular now, so I have to accept it. So I think the key to a great song, and I don't care if it's pop or country or heavy metal, is the wedding of the lyric with the melody. And if they dance together, you got something. And then you might be a big pop star writer, I guess.
So Walter Martin, who was the other guest on the show, was talking, I think, maybe of this push and pull between kind of like the different modalities of the band, I guess you could call it, like the poppiness and the kind of more dramatic or more kind of serious vibe. I love the side of them that's sort of party rock, sort of garage rock. Think of Break On Through and Soul Kitchen. I appreciate that they can do all the drama and excess, but then they can also just like sit down and do a really hot little boogie number.
Well, we came out of the blues.
Right.
When we first started, Jim was so shy. He had never sang. And we played John Lee Hooker songs. And so that was our roots. And those, you listen to John Lee Hooker, and the pocket is so deep. And, Bonnie Raitt played off of his feel too, That's what's, I wouldn't call them ditties, but I'd call them a deep groove, And then there was the excessive.
The sort of more dramatic, the poetry,
Yeah. When the music's over, the end, it's the long, epic excursions. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we didn't plan this stuff. Mm-hmm. Jim couldn't play a chord on any instrument, didn't know how to write a song, but had melodies in his head. He said he thought of melodies to remember the words. Gorgeous melodies, difficult. I'm a drummer. Before you slip into unconsciousness. Wow.
Yeah.
Gifted.
So he would just sing them out and you would put chords
okay, stop.
to it.
E flat. It's a waltz. Okay, go. Stop.
Yeah.
And that's how it all evolved.
Is that normal? I mean, I don't have a lot of experience or knowledge of how songs are made.
Normally, you have singer-songwriters that are kind of the Lennon, McCartney, or Keith and Mick, and they kind of write songs and then teach it to the band, and they add their bit. Mm-hmm. But because of Jim's inability just lack of knowledge, we were this incredible democracy, 4 equal parts,
Yeah.
And blessed for a few years.
Right. Another episode we did was about the notion of like, okay, now I'm afraid to say rock star. So the male frontman, the kind of idea of like a masculine figure that leads a band. Okay. Yeah. And this is a quote from Natalie Mering, aka Wise Blood. And she said this: "There's just something hearkening back to a more ancient idea of what a man could be. Growing your hair out, losing that weight, being a little out there that way. To me, that's all kind of filling the void for maybe the lack of women that were on stage." This sounds like a diss, but she meant it, I think, admiringly.
Yeah.
I think what Natalie was trying to say, that this was like, as you suggest, an era where there were like changing notions of what it means to be a man and a leading man, and that Jim kind of embodied that. Was it clear to you from the beginning that Jim would be a draw in that way?
Totally. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I saw the cover of the first album and his head was so big, I thought, damn, what? Oh, that'll sell copies. my head was in, I thought my face will sell copies of Soldier of Fortune. So this is good.
I have another quote from the same episode from the writer Lily Analik, who has written 2 books about Eve Babbitts. The writer, did you know Eve Babbitts? Sure. And she knows a lot about Jim because of, Eve's, dalliance with Jim. I don't know what to call it, how long lasting it was. And she also wrote one of the books about Eve is also about Joan Didion, who also obviously wrote about you guys famously in the White Album.
Mm-hmm.
And Lily says this: I would imagine just purely on the basis of his beauty and his sex, he was a Hollywood figure, I think what she was referring to here specifically was this is before the rise of the new Hollywood of the 70s, where kind of like there was an injection of kind of youth and sexiness into the movies. And movies at the time when you guys were starting out were kind of, it wasn't the greatest cultural product that America was in charge of. Rock and roll music was. So the idea that someone like Jim came to replace, in a sense, the idea of kind of having an idol. It used to be like movie idols. Later, again, it became movie idols, maybe. But at that point, you guys were providing America with a kind of version of glamour and fame and kind of like masculine attractiveness.
Whew. I don't know if that was Jim's plan.
Okay.
The movies were pretty lame, but we were into foreign films, the French New Wave. Our first, quote, riot where people went crazy, in the audience. And Jim, backstage after that, said, okay, we've done that. Now let's just go to an island and start over. And at first I went, oh, my God. But then thinking more about it, you get success, and you Light My Fire has to be played every night, and it's great, but the incubation period of creativity is, and he was a pure creative spirit. Unfortunately, he got tangled up in a disease, alcoholism.
Yeah.
So, at the time, well, AA was in the 50s, I think, but it wasn't cool yet. It wasn't Clapton and Eminem, very creative, angry guy like Jim. That,
it was lame probably to become sober, right?
Kind of, yeah.
For like someone who was a creative spirit,
and I've always been asked, would Jim be clean and sober if he was around today? And I used to say no. Like I said on the screen, kamikaze, Dionysian drunk. He was smart. It's a different era. He would be clean and sober for sure. But I knew there was elephant shit everywhere, but I didn't know how to express it. I was, please, we got to get off the road because we were so good. And it was due to his drink, as Van Morrison would say, started going down,
Yeah.
And it was really, as I said there, I found a path in life playing music. God, something I love. Oh, and there's a maniac in the front slot. Oh, and I had rashes, and I was, for years, there was a lot of stress. And I knew we were making some magic.
Yeah.
I threw my sticks down one in the middle of Waiting for the Sun sessions. I quit. I came back the next day, and they didn't say anything. Thank God.
Let's just let him.
That's my cross to bear, or was.
Another episode that we taped is kind of about this kind of excess and rock and roll lifestyle. And the quote I'm going to read out to you is from my friend, the podcaster, Chris Black. He said this: "I do love the excess and the mythology around the band, and that whole thing of living balls to the wall, for lack of a better term. It is something that we are in short supply of these days."
Living balls to the wall is
In short supply. Do you, I mean, it's kind of like the flip side of what you were saying, that today, of course, the culture of sobriety and AA and all of that is much more prominent and available, thank God, to people who need it. But the other side of it is what Chris is saying here, I think, is that part of the attraction, at least to young people, or, just in general, kind of the cultural attraction of rock and roll, is that kind of dangerous, kind of living on the edge type thing, which is maybe not as prevalent nowadays. Maybe people are more careful, that they don't want to make a bad impression. All of the things we know.
Okay, so Joan Didion in that biography recently said, they asked her why she liked the Doors, and she said they're dangerous.
She said they're bad boys.
Bad boys.
I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I get that. It's a different era. You can still do balls to the walls just through your creativity. Be madly passionate about your creativity. You don't have to substitute it into the bottle. We took away the religion of the first peoples, and they substituted it with the spirit in the bottle.
Yeah.
Channel that spirit into creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah. In any way, whatever. I don't mean you have to be an artist.
Right. Is that something that you learned over the years? Like, at what point did you come to this realization? Obviously, you had the kind of traumatic experience with Jim. It sounds like, the anxiety and stress of kind of like yoking yourself to this band led by this, so-called maniac.
But traumatic, but exalting in creativity. Just,
yeah.
I don't know. His words told me how to play drums. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I have one more quote, and this is from Billy Idol, who also guested on this episode. And he was talking about, we talked about the Doors and Jim, but he also talked about himself and his own kind of struggles and journey with the excess of rock and roll. So he said this: "You get trapped by your own fame in a way, by what's happened to you, by the success and that, which is something you couldn't have imagined. People start to know your image more than your music. And so you start to be trapped in little rooms, And of course, what can you do to break out of that little room? You can take drugs and stuff, or sex and things like that. That's what happens to you."
Pause. It's making me think of this dream Jim had. He dreamt that we played a concert, and it was great. And then he went to his hotel and went down the hallway to his room. And before he got there, he could hear a bunch of people partying in his room. And then when he went in there, he didn't know anybody.
What do you say to that?
Well, that's what Billy's trying to
Yes,
hint
but
at.
Vis-a-vis Jim and his story.
Yeah.
Do you think he felt kind of trapped by fame and lonely, isolated by it, maybe, or
Yeah. He started wearing black leather pants. I thought, what? It's going to be kind of hot in there. But then a white spotlight on that darkness, that's good. But then he bought or had made a lizard skin suit, okay? And he had written a lyric, I am the Lizard King, I can do anything. And when he got that suit, I thought, oh, shit. He bought his own myth.
right.
And maybe that's when Jimbo was born. That was Ray's name for Jim when he was drunk. Creativity and self-destruction don't always come in the same package. Picasso lived to 90. In Jim's case, they did. And I feel so blessed to be on the side. The bright spotlight on the lead singer is dangerous. I was on the edge. I got singed a little.
Yeah, it's scary. It has a big price attached.
Just you and I being up here, it's dangerous in that way, in that people project on you things. And like you said in the beginning, I just had to go to the bathroom and get divorced like everybody,
Right.
But I've seen a lot of stuff that folks haven't. And so hopefully it gleaned some kind of knowledge of something.
Yeah.
How are we doing? I want to do this poem.
I think we're doing well. And
You're not doing any Q&A.
I believe no Q&A, I was
Okay.
told. So maybe it's time to pull out the drum and to do the poem.
I'm going to do an excerpt from Jim's poem, American Prayer. And this is a Native American drum, which I actually just played for Leonard Peltier, who is a Native American activist who just got out of jail after 49 years. And Jim's Prayer for America. Do you know the warm progress under the stars? Do you know we exist? Have you forgotten the keys to the kingdom? Have you been born yet? And are you alive? Let's reinvent the gods. All the myths of the ages. Celebrate symbols from deep elder forests. Have we forgotten the lessons of the ancient war? Do you know that we are being led to slaughters by placid admirals and that fat, slow generals are getting obscene on young blood? Wow. I'm sick of doubt. Sick of dour faces staring at me from the TV tower. I want my roses in my garden bower. Dig. Royal rubies. Like KCRW. Oh, great creator of being. Grant us one more hour to perform our art and perfect our lives.
Thanks for listening to Really? The Doors? Our executive producers are Noah Chernin and Jody Avirgan, and Ian Wheeler at Talkhouse. Thanks to Jake Bowman and Keenan Kush for production support. And also, a very special thank you to Kenny Neems and Max Michaels from The Doors Management. Thanks again to our sponsor, Bootleg. I'm Nomi Fry. You can check out my writing at The New Yorker, and I appear weekly on The New Yorker podcast, Critics at Large. See you next time.
No more money, no more fancy dress. This other kingdom seems by far the best, until its other jaw reveals incest and loose obedience to a vegetable law. I will not go. Prefer a feast of friends to the giant family.